So let's go ahead and take a look at the Checkered Basket Stitch. So hopefully you've printed out your pattern again. We are going to cast on 32 stitches with color number 501 Seafoam, but again, I am going to use color 31 Slate Gray in the Carlton DK. It will look like this when it's all knit up. And you can use whatever color you would like. You don't have to follow my suggestions. We're going to follow the chart and repeat the stitches between the red lines or the stars 4 times, and then repeat the full chart 4 times as well. And you'll notice that on this chart we have another one of those charts that zigzags, and so you'll have to pay attention to where your repeats are in this chart. So let's go ahead and look at what we're doing. We're going to slip 1, which we've done before. We're going to knit 2. And then we're going to knit 6 and knit 5 in that first row. So there's nothing really strange there. But when we get into row 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, you'll notice that there's that little designation over here that we're going to slip with yarn in back. And all that means is that when we go to work the stitch, we're going to slip it and we're going to keep the yarn in the back. That's it. If you slip it with the yarn in front, then it will make a bar across the front of the work, because you can see that we have those bars in the back of our work here where those stitches have been slipped. And so if you want that as a decoration on the front of your work, you can try that. But for our purposes in this pattern, we are going to slip with the yarn in back. So let me go ahead and cast on my 32 stitches. I'll work the first 2 rows, and then I will show you how to slip that stitch with the yarn in back. So let's go ahead and work our 3rd and 4th row. I've already worked the first 2 rows so that we have the base set up and we can look at those slipped stitches. So now let's start with row 3. We're going to slip that first stitch, knit 2, and then work those 2 slip stitches with the yarn in back. I'll slip the first stitch knitwise and then go ahead and knit 2 stitches. And now I'm going to use my needle and from right to left insert my needle through the back and not actually knit it. I'm just going to slip that stitch over, and we'll do that twice. That will create the bar in the back of the work. Then we're going to go ahead and knit the next 4 stitches as written in the pattern. Then we'll go ahead and slip those stitches again. So once more, insert as if to purl. Do not knit or purl your stitch. Slip the next stitch and then knit your next 4 stitches in the row. Now that we've worked through that row, I'm going to go ahead and show you where those slip stitches are. You can clearly see that bar in the back of your work. And once again, you'll just slip those 2 stitches, knit 4, slip 2 more stitches, knit 4. So you'll go ahead and work those 4 stitches and then work the last 5 stitches of the row by slipping 2 stitches, just as we've done, and then knitting 1, 2, and 3 stitches for the end of that row. Now that we've worked the right side row, let's look at the wrong side row. You'll begin by slipping a stitch, knitting 2, and then slipping 2 stitches with the yarn in front. And the reason that we do that is to get that same bar across the wrong side of our work. So slip those first stitch, knit 2 stitches, and then we're going to just slip those 2 stitches just as we've done, purlwise again, with the yarn in front this time, so that it creates that bar across the back. Move our yarn to the back of our work and knit 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. We'll go ahead and slip those 2 stitches with that yarn in front, and then we need to remember that we are not going to purl our stitches, so we aren't purling here. We need to remember to move that yarn in the back and knit those stitches so that we are slipping 2 stitches with that yarn in front and then knitting the 4 stitches that follow it. And once you have worked all the way across the row, you'll be able to see those slipped stitch bars very easily in the back, and you'll see that they are pulling in the front. So again, we've slipped those stitches, and then we'll knit 4, we'll slip 2 stitches, and then we'll knit the last 3 stitches of the row, and I always make sure that I purl that final stitch because that's what the chart says to do. Now you can really see those slip stitch bars that are in the back of the row, and you can also see that we are starting to have some pull on the front of the block from those slip stitches that remain on the front. And this, remember, is what our block will look like when we are completely done, and you can see those slip stitches as they go up and create those checkered basket ridges. So I've worked through row 12 of our repeat for the checkered basket stitch, and you can see where those stitches have pulled, just like on our square. And you can also see on the back where we have those floats across the back. So now that we are done with our first repeat, we have to remember to follow the chart 4 more times or until your square measures roughly 6 inches. And then you're going to work rows 1 through 2 again before you go ahead and bind off. And your square should look quite nice when you're all finished. So now that we've done the checkered basket stitch, let's go ahead and have a look at our ridge check pattern. So remember, this is a 2-color piece, so we're going to talk a little bit about striping and colors and how to put them together.